I'm Stephanie Owen, and in mid-November I was asked if I would volunteer for the stewardship team for a third year. When I was thinking about whether I wanted to continue, I considered that mid-March might feel a little more unsettled than even mid-November did. I was worried that political changes might make us more uncertain about our future. Unfortunately, it seemed my hunch was right, and I'm sure many of you suspected the same thing. A few years ago, during some healing work, I received the message to focus on the next right step. And that's been a guidepost for me in many areas of my life. So with that guidepost in mind, I said yes to continuing with the stewardship team, since stepping away due to my own fear did not feel like the next right step for me. It's time for us to plan financially for our next church year. As Doug shared so eloquently, being part of a free and independent congregation means we're responsible for every part of the functioning of this community. And it's important that we make our financial commitments now so that the standing committee can create the budget we will all approve in a few months. During a service in the fall, Ellen used an analogy about threads woven together being stronger than they are individually, and that stuck with me. The time between now and then has made it even more obvious about the importance of finding ways to bind together and strengthen community and connection. As the world seems less certain, it's ever more important to focus on what is within our control, including conducting our lives in ways that bring us purpose and meaning. Our theme this year is Many Threads, One Fabric, Weaving Resilience, Building Hope. What might we be creating here at First Parish when we weave our threads together? Perhaps a hammock, a place to rest and reflect. Perhaps a parachute, a place of escape or rescue. Perhaps a basket, a place to collect our resources. Perhaps a safety net, a place to stumble when we fall. A place to be caught when we stumble or fall. You got it. Thank you. At different times, each of us offers or receives rest, reflection, resources, and safety here. First Parish is a place where whatever you are able to contribute in the many ways that you add to this community is woven together into a tapestry that is far more beautiful and intricate than we could possibly create on our own. Today, we will start weaving together our financial resources to support First Parish next church year. I see our pledges as about more than our financial goal. It's also about our commitment to saying that this place matters to us, that we are part of it, and that we will be here next year. So, everybody likes to know how we're doing as the campaign goes on. So this is our tracker this year. Okay. I'm going to use this loom to keep track of where we are with our pledge goal. And you can see that there are already, maybe you can't, but at social hour you can see there are already 2 rows filled in. That's because two of you read the announcements when they came out on Friday and clicked the link. So thank you for that. So I'd like to ask everyone to take a few moments to reflect and share on one of their favorite ways that First Parish is woven into their lives. For me, a favorite way that First Parish has been woven into my life is making connections with other parents and having a space to talk about raising kids with people who share similar values with us. I'm going to ask the ushers to pass around baskets of ribbon. And while they do, if you guys could do that now. I'm going to ask you each to take a ribbon to represent the ways that First Parish is woven into your lives. While they do that, I'd like to ask you to take note that the baskets were woven by Catherine Canada's mom. And Catherine is part of our stewardship team, but couldn't be here today because, as you heard, she's in Indiana. I was excited to be the winning bidder on these baskets last year at the auction, which is another way that First Parish is woven into my life. So please take a ribbon and share with someone sitting near you or several people sitting near you the ways that First Parish is woven into your life, and then I will ask you to tie those ribbons together because that's what I'm going to use to weave the loom. So once you've tied yours together with someone nearby you, just pass them to the back and I will collect them later. So I'll give you a moment to do that. And if you're joining us from home, Ryan and I are tying some ribbons for you, so please add your comments to the chat. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll continue the conversation. Just if they're tied together in a few places, that's fine. And then you could just pass them to the back and we'll collect them all in the back. Okay. So thank you all for sharing with each other, and I look forward to hearing later what are some things that came up in your conversations. And I also look forward to showing you our progress each week at the stewardship table at social hour. And I just want to close my portion with an excerpt from a prayer by Elizabeth Lerner McClay, who's the senior minister at First Unitarian Church of Providence, Rhode Island. We cannot be saved by anyone or anything but each other. Each other is what we are given and all that will save us. This planet is all we have and all that will save us. Our own honor is all we have and all that will save us. Each other's humanity is all we have and all that will save us. All that we are, all we will be known for, all we will be judged by, all that will intervene for us, save us, complete us, redeem us, is us.
All right, I guess it's my turn. I'm Ryan Owen. I'm another member of the stewardship team. Somehow I've been here since 2015, and this is my first time at the pulpit. I tried to do that one today, but they wouldn't let me. So I'll talk for a few more minutes. So when Stephanie first asked me to help with stewardship, my first reaction was, there's got to be somebody better for this. Public speaking was one of my biggest fears as a kid. I think I've gotten over it, but I still don't love it. But like she said, there's a lot going on in the world. So getting up on a stage isn't where an introvert's energy naturally leads. So I wasn't even sure I had the bandwidth to help with stewardship. We live in uncertain times. There's a mental load that comes with that. I feel like we're all feeling that right now. And I got laid off last year. I knew it would be stressful, but I didn't think it would be too hard to find another job. I work in marketing. I have a lot of experience, been doing this for a while. I'm a writer who does content marketing, and I've gotten close to an offer about 5 times. I could name off all the companies, but I won't bore you with that. And I'm still looking, though. Still actively interviewing. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the value of community in a job search, and I've been caring for my aging father as well. 2 weeks ago, that came to an end. He passed away. We were there for that. And somehow, I made it to 48 years old, blissfully naive of the fact that dying is a process. Growing up, I always thought it was like a moment, like it just happened. But at 86, he was diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer, and that was 3 years ago. 2.5 of those 3 years, he was great. You can live fairly symptomless with that. The last 6 months were bad. He fought to stay with us as long as he could, but cancer kind of eats away at you, and it ate away at him until there was nothing left. He was under 100 pounds at the end, and about my height. He insisted he wasn't in pain, which he he might have just been saying that to comfort us. And he never complained as he lost his mobility. He went from a cane to a walker to being bedridden for the last few weeks of his life. He was trying to shelter us from the realities of his illness. But my dad was like that with everyone. He tried to lessen the blows of a sometimes harsh, and maybe it's an increasingly harsh world right now. He shouldered more than his fair share of the burden, and throughout his almost 90 years. Growing up, he was the thread that kept everyone together, and our spear kept us from fraying apart. He shepherded me through a difficult adolescence, and he cared for his widow sister when diabetes cost her a leg. He once convinced my Little League to draft my best friend, even though he failed his tryouts. I'm sure he's not listening now, so that's good. And I never told him that. That was back when we were 12, so a long time ago. He always made people believe things were going to get better, and he created hope. And that was important to me, and it still is. My dad was pretty tightly woven into my life, and I couldn't picture living it without him. I'll throw a couple cliches in this. He was my port in a storm, and even long after his age began to ravage his ability to help, just knowing he was there was enough. So during my job search, and as my dad was declining, I found comfort in knowing that this church and the community was here, even if I didn't need it, even if I didn't think I needed it. Even just sitting here on Sundays made me feel better down there. I'd stare at the windows up there and kind of just soak in the power of community. It can be that thread that serves as a lifeline when you're in a crisis. I felt like I could manage grief alone, but the support from our church community through kind words and thoughtful questions and the cards and gifts that have come to the house, they reminded me that I could always count on you. Your compassion became like a shelter in my storm, a beacon of light, those kind of things. But it's in those moments that we all have in our lives that we see the true value in community, and each of us becomes a thread in a tapestry. We might not be able to see the full design or where it's leading, but it's there, and we're always weaving it together. So our lives, with our joys and sorrows, are intertwined, as we say every week. Every act of kindness, every shared moment, every small gesture of support adds something to the strength of that fabric and our shared existence together. So the theme for this year's stewardship campaign, Many Threads, One Fabric, Weaving Resilience, Building Hope, embraces this idea. When times get hard, we have someone to fall back on, and that creates hope, and we'll be able to survive until better days. And sometimes it's all we have. I don't want to say misery loves company, but sometimes company makes misery manageable and survivable. When times get dark, whether it's a passing cloud or we're waking up to an unfamiliar day, our community becomes the shelter that keeps us safe and hopeful that things will get better. We need financial support as a church to survive, keep the lights on and here in the homes of the staff that run this place. That's why we're here to start the 2025 stewardship campaign, and why I said I'd come up here and do some public speaking. We need communities like this one to serve as a lighthouse in dark times, whether they're as a community or individually. So thank you for being a thread in our community, and may we continue to weave resistance and build hope together. Logistically, later today, I will send out an email with instructions on how you can contribute your pledge and the different ways we're making that available to people. Or you can stop by and see us at our table downstairs after the service during the coffee hour. Thank you.